The lake was completely still that morning, February 13th, 2018, the day before Valentine's Day. Lake Coeur d'Alene lay flat under a pale winter sky, the kind of cold that makes every breath visible. A small boat drifted near the shore. Inside it sat a woman alone. Her husband was gone, and for 2 full hours, she didn't call for help. 2 hours surrounded by freezing water, 2 hours with nothing but silence, 2 hours to think, to plan, to decide what story she would tell. By the time emergency services were finally called, the sunrise they had gone out to watch was long over. When rescuers arrived, they found the woman shivering, her nose bloodied, claiming her husband had fallen into the lake during a romantic morning that had gone terribly wrong. But almost immediately, nothing about her story felt right. Larry Eisenberg was not the sort of man who took risks. Born in Idaho in 1950, he was steady, disciplined, and practical to the core. He studied forestry, built a successful career in the lumber industry, and became an executive known for his toughness and strict personal code. Larry believed in hard work, honesty, and living within your means. He raised his 2 children with those same values, repeating them so often they became family law. After his first marriage ended, Larry eventually met Lori Barnes through the local business community. Lori's background couldn't have been more different. She grew up in deep poverty, moving from place to place, sometimes squatting just to survive. But she learned how to adapt, how to be liked, how to present herself as warm, capable, and trustworthy. By adulthood, she had mastered it. Lori married young, had 6 daughters, and later reinvented herself after her divorce. In Coeur d'Alene, she became a fixture of community life, always volunteering, always visible. Eventually, she rose to become executive director of a housing charity connected to federal funds. To everyone watching, she was a success story, a woman who had beaten the odds. When Lori and Larry married, it looked like the perfect second chapter. A blended family, grandchildren, holidays at a secluded cabin they called Our Paradise. Friends described them as soulmates. Larry trusted Lori completely, without reservation. What he didn't know was that his wife was living a second life. On the morning of February 13, they went out on the lake before dawn. According to Lori, they were watching the sunrise when the boat's motor had trouble. Larry leaned forward to check it. She said he gave her a strange look, almost as if something was wrong, and then fell into the water. She said she searched. She said she hoped. She said she stayed near the spot where he disappeared. What she didn't explain was why she waited 2 hours before calling for help. The water temperature that morning was just above 4 degrees Celsius. In conditions like that, survival without rescue is counted in minutes, not hours. Larry's body wasn't recovered until more than 2 weeks later. At first, everyone assumed the same thing, a tragic drowning. But the post-mortem told a very different story. Larry Eisenberg had not drowned. He had died from an extreme overdose of diphenhydramine, the active ingredient in Benadryl. The level found in his system was so high, it could not have been accidental. This wasn't a medical episode. It wasn't misadventure. It was poisoning. And suddenly, every detail from that morning took on a darker meaning. The delayed call, the injuries, the carefully written letter Lori sent to friends days later, laying out her version of events. The narrative of a grieving widow had been constructed early and deliberately. Then investigators uncovered what had been happening behind the scenes. For years, Lori had been stealing from the very organization she ran. More than $500,000 siphoned through fake invoices and shell companies, some in her own daughter's names. Federal investigators were closing in, and exposure was imminent. Larry knew nothing about it. To prosecutors, the motive was clear. Larry was a man who prized honesty and financial discipline above all else. If he found out, the marriage would be over. The money would be gone. The reputation he had built over a lifetime would be dragged through scandal, and Lori could not allow that to happen. Digital evidence only deepened suspicions. Internet searches about drowning and water conditions had been made months earlier. A message sent from Larry's phone after his disappearance included an emoji, something those close to him said he never used. Handwritten changes appeared on his will, attempting to redirect most of his estate to Lori's children. Piece by piece, the picture formed. Lori was first convicted on federal fraud charges and sentenced to prison. Then came the murder charge. In 2020, she was charged with first-degree murder, accused of killing her husband with poison and staging his death as an accident. The case never went to a full trial. Instead, Lori entered a plea that allowed sentencing without a full admission of guilt. In court, she claimed the poisoned drink was meant for herself and that Larry had taken it by mistake. The judge didn't believe her. Neither did Larry's family. His children spoke of the absence left behind, of a man who had earned a peaceful retirement and never saw betrayal coming. Even some of Lori's own daughters testified against her, describing years of manipulation and lies. Lori Eisenberg was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of release for decades. By the time she is eligible for parole, she will be nearly a century old. Lake Coeur d'Alene still looks calm today. The water gives nothing away, but for the people left behind, nothing is the same. Larry Eisenberg wasn't just a name in a case file. He was a father, a grandfather, a man who believed in doing things the right way, and he trusted the wrong person. If stories like this matter to you, stories told with care, depth, and respect, consider subscribing. Because behind every true crime case, there's a human story that deserves to be remembered.